Hey guys, gals, and MBs. I'm here today with the Oberheim OB6, and we're going to have some fun with a quirk of the sub-oscillator. So I've been able to reproduce this quirk to some degree on the Prophet 6 as well, and I've been able to do it on the Take 5 to a lesser degree. It's a little less dramatic on the Take 5, but yeah. So what I'm talking about is how the syncing happens on the sub-oscillator when you use oscillator sync. It can make for an interesting pitch variance, and we can hear what that sounds like here in a few minutes, but we're going to make a really cool patch, and we're going to use the BigSky Mx right here to really make it just a lovely pad and everything. So let's make an init patch, and let's hear what I mean. So we're going to actually start by just turning down all the oscillators. We're going to turn them all down. We're going to even turn down the sub, so we should hear nothing. We might hear a little bit of clicking here and there from the amplifier opening up, but let's just hear the sub. And now let's make that quirk happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn on oscillator sync. The lovely thing is I already have the patch here in patch bank 1 that I've already created. So I can at least see how this is without having too many notes on hand. So you'll see a little period show up in the display when we're close or on the value that I used. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is tune the first oscillator right around there. And then the second oscillator we're going to tune right around there. So here's what it sounds like. Nothing quite yet, right? And we're only listening to the sub oscillator, but now let's tune this down. See how it sounds very weird there? Let's tune the second oscillator down a little more. We just got to find the sweet spot. There it is. Here we go. Notice how the pitch changes. All right, so patch 7 or patch 507, the broken EP patch actually relies on this trick to make it sound, do the little pitch variance that it does. But yeah, so what's happening is on the retrigger, it's an unstable. I don't know exactly what's happening. It has to do with the fact that the sub oscillator is derived from the first oscillator in a way where it doesn't look at it, it's just a circuit, but it's using the trailing edge of the waveform in order to cause the retriggering. And since we have syncing going on, it creates a random pitch variance. And this can be really fun, but like here. And obviously if we add the detune or the voice spread, not the voice spread, but the vintage mode, because the newer firmwares of this, I have my vintage mode turned on. The detune is no longer a detune, it is vintage mode. So if you have newer firmwares, if you have an old OB6, you just install the new firmware, and then detune, actually you can set it to become vintage. And with vintage up, which we will use, it makes it even more unpredictable. But yeah. But it gets even wilder when you modulate the frequency of the second oscillator, especially with the cross mod. Or I'm sorry, the first oscillator. That's what we're going to do. But we're going to use cross mod. And it's going to do something really weird, and we'll hear that in a second. So let me go to what I actually had this set to, which was A2, and I think I had that just set to G2, right? We have it set to G2 on oscillator 1, A2 on oscillator 2. Nothing now, but if we start using the cross mod, which we are, we're going to go ahead and turn on cross mod here, and we're going to use the VCO2. I'm just going to turn it up. We're going to crank it. Now we consistently get it. It's still, it's funny how I should say it. It's consistently inconsistent. So if you're going to use this patch, like don't make it for a live situation, because you're just never going to get the same sound twice, which actually kind of makes it interesting, because the tuning variance and your temperature drift and everything, since they're VCOs, is going to play into its random nature. But if you're using this to like record a song one-off and, you know, just make some beautiful textures, it works. And we're going to add even more movement into the filter. We're going to use, or the X mod, we're going to use the filter envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. I had it right around here, but we can turn it a little more. But we're going to use the filter envelope for two things. We're going to use it to fade in the filter, and we're also going to use it for the pitch variance. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in both oscillators now with the sub. Really interesting. All right, we can change the waveforms of the oscillators too to make it more interesting, but by default they're on saw. We'll just use saws. Actually, you know what? We'll use a triangle. I'm not triangle, sorry, square. On the first one, we'll use a saw on. Well, that's a triangle, isn't it? It is. So. Nah, we're gonna go back and just use the saw. It sounds pretty cool that way. All right, let's turn the filter down all the way so we won't hear anything. We'll hear a little bleed through because it's 12 dB per octave. There might be a little bit, but that's beside the point. We're going to now crank a little bit of resonance because the resonance is the most beautiful resonance on a synth ever with the SEM filters. At least the SEM filters on the Oberheim here. The SEM filter on the I just don't like the SEM filter on the Mini Freak all that much. It's not that, it doesn't sound authentic. Anyway, so now let's add some amount of the envelope to the filter here. We're going to turn it, we don't want that much because we don't want it to be too buzzy because we have a lot of resonance. So yeah, so now let's go ahead and have some attack. Let's turn the release up on the amp right around there, and maybe a little bit of, we'll just no attack there. We'll have a decay envelope. We'll have it around here. We're going to turn the sustain all the way down. Then we're going to have a bunch of release. So. And you can hear the glitching happening on the sub octave. So yeah, that's kind of the sub-octave glitch in a nutshell, but we're still going to make it a little more interesting. Let's add a little more resonance, maybe. I'm opening up the filter a little more based on the envelope. Can add a little more filter. There we go. Maybe a little less. There we go. It's super glitchy now. Okay. And so now let's start making it a little even better, in my opinion. We're going to add a little bit, again, this is now the vintage mode. It's not detune anymore. So we're going to turn up the vintage mode. I had it at 0 on my initial patch, but we're going to add a little. So then that's going to add some variance in the envelopes and everything. And let's add one of my favorite things on the 6 lineup, so the Trigon 6, the Prophet 6, and the OB6, and that is pan spread. It just adds so much liveliness. I usually turn it a little past, probably around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. All right, and let's make it even wilder. We're going to go over here to the shape. We're going to go for the LFO shape, and we're going to use random, right? But one of the things that the random shape does is when you turn the frequency all the way up, it attaches the noise generator to that instead of using sample and hold. So, and then we're going to use VCO1 and VCO2 as our destinations, and we're going to add a little noise to it. So it's going to be crazy. Really cool, isn't it? All right, so now let's add a delay to this. I'm going to use the BigSky, but we're going to use the internal delay to a little lesser degree. So turn off the second effect slot and then go to first effect slot. You can make the second effect slot the delay as well. It doesn't really matter. But let's turn down the feedback. Let's turn down, well, the time needs to be nice and long. So let's turn down the feedback. Let's go ahead and turn it on. It should be 64 by default, which out of 127 is about half, because it has a 0 value, right? So, yeah. Oh, we actually have to set the delay. That's bad on me. Let's set the bucket brigade one, so the analog style. Yeah, so that's gorgeous, but we're not done yet. We have the BigSky Mx here. I'm going to use my Noodle Dragon, which is the Bloom algorithm. I believe it's the Bloom. It's Bloom into Cloud. Yeah, that's how I have it set. So. So yeah, I hope you agree that just sounds amazing in my opinion. If you want to tame a little bit of the high end off that, let's turn off the reverb here. We can take a little bit of the envelope down and maybe add a little more resonance so we don't get it too muddy. You can also tame off the resonance, of course, but that's half the fun of the SEM filter, isn't it? So that's just with the internal effects. It's still really nice. Let's go ahead and try with my planetarium patch, which uses an impulse response into the Bloom algorithm. So really cool. Just I love that. I don't know if I can. I will attempt to do this on the take 5. Don't like. It's not a promise that I can get it to work exactly on the take 5, but I'm gonna try and get close because the oscillator mod is a little different on that because you're relying on a polyphonic LFO instead of true cross mod like that this has, or the poly mod that the Prophet series has. But I can attempt to. I really hope that the oscillator glitch, or not glitch, but quirk exists on the TO5 too, because that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, especially with this filter. So yeah, it is what it is on this one, on the OB6. Obviously, little tuning variances are going to make it sound even different, so your unit could even sound way different than mine does with the same settings. But yeah, just a fun little thing, and it makes for really interesting just patches. So yeah, I hope this video helps somebody out, or you got some inspiration from it to see what kind of weird quirks you can find on your synth and how you can exploit them for musicality, I guess. And again, the OB6 just sounds amazing, especially with that specific glitch. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed already and you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. All right, bye.